Alright guys, hello, welcome back to the next episode of our Konnersport MyTeam career mode. Finishing off after a great finish for our team in the last race in Baku. A great fight between us, Verstappen, and I believe it was Hamilton there towards the end, and Leclerc, trying to fight Leclerc at the end as we were racing as Aiden Jackson. P2 finish, within a half second behind him at the finish line. Almost getting another possible race win for the team, but we are not there yet. As we jump into our owner tasks, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the activities. I almost forgot about the activities in this last episode. Result driven initiative, we don't have enough days for that. Department focus. Let's go recruitment for this one. I don't remember which one I needed more of. We need more for everybody actually, for personnel and engineering, so we'll go ahead and do that. Personnel, and then I guess the department focus doesn't really matter because we're not focusing on parts right now. Let's see, engineering. Research focus, personnel, we'll do the podium celebration, durability focus sessions, and then driver wellness session there. And then let's see, corporate fan outreach. We want to increase our fan outreach. Merchandise for 4 days, that'll give us 20,000, and I believe that's it. So that'll fill up our agenda for the time being. Messages, interesting weekend. One of our drivers achieved a podium. And a little bit of a spoiler there. If you guys noticed it, I am so sorry. I didn't want to go into that. We did post a comment in that we posted something in the description of the last episode, so if you guys want to go take a look at that, you probably should. Just saying. But we're gonna go ahead and jump into these guys. Kelly Mayer, Aiden Jackson looking pretty good. Energy store not looking too good for our drivers. I'm gonna go ahead and take it. We'll take the penalties for this weekend for the energy store, because we need the parts. So we'll go ahead and take those grid penalties, and I believe that's it. So we'll go to the corporate facility event. Refresh option. Okay. All right, we have more driver talks, and we'll see you guys for the race weekend in Singapore.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. And here's our track, 4.94 kilometers long, and overtaking chances into the first corner, into turn 14 at the end of the Esplanade, and now into turn 16 in the newly reprofiled sector that we first ran on in 2023. Still though, it's punishing and tough on the brakes, and the heat and humidity will take an effect on our drivers. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri and Gasly, Albon, Behrman, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, Stroll, Mayer, Nico Hülkenberg and Norris, Antonelli, Jackson, Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson, Sainz, Bortoletto, Hadja, and Jack Doohan rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. And alongside me, bringing glamour and expertise to our commentary today, Naomi Schiff. Look, we know it's not where you start, it's where you finish. But let's talk about the start now. What's there to help the drivers get away well?
Well, the race is certainly not won in the first lap, let alone turn one. However, what you can do is prepare yourself ahead of time. Visualize what could potentially happen, different scenarios and where you could place your car. And that will better prepare you to make the right decision with instinctive timing.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
All right, here we are having cars coming around the final corner in Singapore. We're actually, I edited the video before the race weekend, and we're actually doing the voiceover right before the Singapore Grand Prix, so I'm going to be going to watch that after we edit this video and upload it as we are on board with Callie Mayer pulling up to the grid slot. You see the Alpine in that last grid slot of Jack Doohan. Callie Mayer starting P12, 5 red lights are on. Hamilton Leclerc starting on the front row. We're off to a good start. We have Hulkenberg behind us and Stroll there to the right. That's going to be Ocon ahead. It's a couple 2s and 3s. Going over, no, not over, around the first corner. It didn't look like there were any 3 wides, but we're in a P11 now, ahead of that Stroll. Our teammate Jackson back in P16. We were making our way through Sector 1, almost to Sector 2, and honestly, I haven't played Singapore since F123, and playing it this year, it seems like there's a lot more space to work with compared to the last few years. So we're going through the grid now. Norris, Sonoda, Jackson, as a lot of people are taking penalties for components. We took the risk and took penalties for both drivers. So we're starting outside of the points. We're trying to push against Ocon as we're sitting at P11. Hadjar there doing in last place. Hamilton already over a half second ahead of Leclerc, and then another 1.8 seconds between Leclerc and Verstappen. So the top 3 is very widespread already as we're coming through Sector 3 now. That tricky right-hander, if you push too far out to the outside, you can get a track limits warning. So we're coming back all the way around to Callie Mayer. Trying to fight Alonso now as we're ahead of Ocon. We didn't see the onboard, but it was on the inside of one of the corners as we're looking up ahead of us on Alonso and Behrman, pretty much. So, got a long race ahead of us, already lap 2. We made a few positions up from, I believe it was P12. And we have Ocon trying to make a move. DRS is active. We are going to be within a second of Alonso, so we're going to have DRS here. And I honestly feel very confident with this setup being a high downforce setup. I thought about going lower. We're sitting at a 35, I believe. And the high speed with the downforce and the difficulty, not really... It was right where we needed it. But lap 2 now, made an unnecessary cut, unfortunately, as Alonso was ahead of Behrman. We make a move on Behrman there, coming into Sector 3. See Stroll and Hulkenberg going back and forth on positions here, as this newer Sector 3, I believe since 2023 is when they changed it. They took out, I believe, 2 or 3 turns. No, they took out 2 turns. Now it's just one straight DRS zone. So we're now ahead of both passes, sitting at P9. Alonso and Gasly fighting for a position. Now you see Alonso trying to make a move on the outside as we're moving on to lap 3 now. Alonso about a second ahead of Gasly as we're right up in the gearbox of them coming through sector 3. We had a good launch coming out of that corner. We have DRS. We try to fight as much as we can on Gasly. We're gonna have to make a move on the inside here, so we're fighting for position here and there. Alonso's trying to pull away. He's 1.4 seconds, 1.5 coming around that final corner. This fast-paced section where we've seen a lot of action during practice in the Singapore Grand Prix race weekend at the time of editing or uploading this video. As we're now in P8, 1.5 between us and Alonso, so we have some ground to make up as we're moving on. Lap 5 on board with Verstappen. I'm trying to chase down Hamilton, who's in P2. George Russell, P4. 4/10s back behind Verstappen. And this is going to be the first incident of the race weekend. This is going to be spin from Verstappen just out of view there. Russell's going to be caught up behind him. We're going to see who else is caught behind him. There's Callie Mayer up in the P6 now. This is going to be the next red flag, the second red flag of the season. All right, there we have it. I think this is actually the first red flag of the season. I don't know if it is or not. Please let me know in the comments if it was or not, because I don't honestly remember if we did have one or not. Maybe China, maybe Japan. I'm not quite sure.
We've done all right so far, but this is a chance to take a breath. We've got another half of this race to go, and there's still a big opportunity there.
A big spin. I think that was a Red Bull Verstappen, maybe. We'll look at the race director behind the scenes, but looks like we're going to be running 2 mediums. It is an early stop. Will it be beneficial to run soft tires and then run mediums? No, it will not. So it looks like we're going to be running 2 mediums for the remainder of this race. Can we split these guys? No, we can't. We'll go long on the mediums and then hard on the mediums again. Unless we can change these guys to softs. I don't trust that. It is 5 seconds. I don't understand why that would be 5 seconds. I'm just trying to brainstorm here. No, that's hard tires. We want softs. Okay, that's the end of the window for the tire life. All right, we're gonna have to do 2 mediums here for the remainder of this race. We'll go 14 and 11, half second. So we'll sit with that, and let's get back to this race. All right, 5 red lights are coming back on for the restart here in Singapore. Starting P8 is Callie Mayer. When that red flag was flown, good launch against George Russell up on the inside of Verstappen. 3 wide. We actually have Albon up in the top 5 fighting for position. A lot of contact going on here. That is Hamilton on the inside. We make a position. We're up in a P4 already. Albon up in a P3. Leclerc holding on to the lead after that red flag as we're coming through to see what kind of tires other people are on. Coming from this early red flag restart, giving a free pit stop. It was going to be a 1-stop race for a majority of the grid. So you see a lot of people on hard tires now to get to the end of the race maybe. So we see Hulkenberg fighting Ocon. Jackson still sitting up there in P15 as we're going back and forth between the onboards of Ocon and Hulkenberg. You see North Sonoda Jackson caught right behind him. They're 2 wide. Come through sector 2. On board with Norris now. We're looking to see if he can make a move here later on after this sharp left-hander. And it was a crazy restart. It was a crazy red flag. Coming from P12 all the way up into P4. So Callie Mayer's in the points. Now they have a chance at the podium. And we're going through the grid yet again. We have Leclerc 1.5 seconds ahead of Piastri, who got lucky on that restart. Albon got lucky as well. He's sitting P3. As we're about 6/10 back. Now moving on to lap 11, we're trying to catch up to Albon. We are going to be within that 1 second range. We brake late and push as much as we can to try to make a move on Albon here. Alonso's trying to close in on us as well. He's sitting at P5 with Hamilton, Verstappen, Gasly, Russell, Ocon to finish out the rest of the top 10. We make that move on the outside of Albon. He gives way. Not really the fight that he was looking for, but we make that easy move up into P3. So provisional podium right now, as we're not even halfway through this race. A little bit choppy there on the graphics. Nothing I can really do because of the replay. As lap 12, we can already see the condition that these tires are in, and that's going to continue because Albon is over a second and a half away from us here at this point. He's holding off Alonso, and I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen here. Lap 12, the end of lap 12, there is some rain on this screen. We had forecast for minor rain, but that red flag really changed the outcome of this race. It's going to be rain for the middle of this race. We're on lap 13 now. You can see how much we're struggling to keep the power down and stay ahead of Albon, who's now P6. Alonso's P4. Hamilton's up into P5. Working on that transition. We see Piastri and Leclerc coming into the pits onto intermediate tires. You see the Ferrari drivers coming out for Leclerc, who's currently in the lead. Piastri coming in behind for a set of intermediates. It's going to be Mayer, Alonso, Hamilton. Everybody on the grid is going to be coming in for intermediate tires. He's going to be looking overhead to see if we get any mistakes for our pit stop here. Jackson's plenty far enough back that we don't have any issues for a double stop. No issues there for Konnersport. On the first pit stop, we see other people coming in and out. We see the tires are freaking out because of that. Lawson staying out an extra lap to try to gain some ground on those hard tires. See how well that will play off for them. They're currently up in the P4 ahead of Alonso. Now on board with Jackson for their pit stop. No issues. Little bit of a slow stop for release. He's going to be phasing out of Tsunoda there. He's going to be coming out ahead of Tsunoda. So going through the rest of the grid, rest of the drivers who have come through the pit stops. So as far as I know, at this point, Lawson is the only person who's yet to come into the pits onto a set of intermediate tires. That has really spread the grid thin. You see Leclerc ahead, Piastri 2.4 seconds. And then the gap between Piastri and Mayer is another 6 seconds. And it's going to be like this for majority of the grid. There is Hamilton making a move on Lawson. Little bit of contact because he's trying to get out of the way to let him go through because they have that faster pace on the new intermediate tire. Just, I don't know who pertained the damage, but Lawson is going to be starting to fall down the order until they can get into the pits. As you can see, we scraped the wall there coming through that right-hander in Sector 3. The rain now on the screen as we're in a little bit of a no man's land. It's going to continue until lap 17. Alonso showing his performance in the rain as the back end kind of steps out. We have to take it easy. So we have to defend against Alonso now coming through the final corner. See the back end coming out a little bit there. You just see the battle is gonna pretty much be between us two during the rain. No DRS, it's just coming down to manpower and who can get the power down, who can keep control of their car. As Hamilton is starting to close in, I believe. He's about 4 seconds back. We're on board with Alonso. The AI is always going to have a better launch in the rain, but we do get a good launch out of that right-hander. You see us pulling away there. Moving on to lap 23 now, and you can still see the mist and fog or whatever on the track. It's still there. The wet weather is still there, but it's not going to be enough quite yet for our drivers. The rain is going to be dissipating enough where they're going to reactivate DRS. We had a mistake there. You can see DRS opening from Alonso and Hamilton. They're already back behind us. Albon still back in P7. Jackson, we haven't paid attention to Jackson, but he's already up into P12 ahead of Sonoda, trying to chase down Norris. About 6.5 seconds between them and Norris, as we're looking to defend against Alonso now with DRS. So we are at a major disadvantage because Leclerc's about 6 seconds ahead of Piastri, and then there's Alonso and Mayer fighting for a position. It's just this group of four are fighting for position here. Sector 2, Sector 3. That is going to be a retirement for Max Verstappen. That is not going to help his driver standing in the championship, as we're looking to still defend against Alonso. 15 seconds between us and Piastri. We're on board with Verstappen retiring from this race. It's going to be an unfortunate retirement for them. Lap 24 now. I don't know if it was the end of lap 24, as we're still looking to defend. It's just a mini train between us, Alonso, and Hamilton. You see Verstappen dropping down the order there. Yes, at least he's finished over half of the race, and we're going to be coming in off of these intermediate tires. Tyres activated at the beginning of the lap. Now it's time to come in. We have Hamilton coming in behind us. So we're going to look and see if Alonso does an overcut, but I don't believe the overcut is the way to go on this track, to my knowledge. Coming in onto the new set of medium tires. Good stop. We finished ahead of Hamilton, no issues. I don't think there was any time gain or time loss there. But Sonoda staying out, as everybody else who hasn't come in yet. We see the Alpine and Gasly coming in, Jackson coming in, because Gasly just finished their pit stop. And we see the Kick Sauber team getting ready for their pit stop. We have Antonelli coming in, Bortoletto staying out, so that's Hulkenberg coming in. As we come out behind Antonelli for Jackson, we see Behrman coming in, Sainz coming in, I believe Stroll doing, and I believe that's it. I don't think Lawson came in or not. We'll see here in a second. Yep, Lawson did come in onto a new set of mediums. Looks like the majority of the grid is coming in on mediums, because we're about 7 laps or so to come to the end of this race. So we see Leclerc coming out of the pits now, or coming into the pits from the end of their lap that they stayed out. So Leclerc, Alonso, 22 seconds back. 22 seconds, 23 seconds practically is the gap between P2 and the leader, as we're looking through the rest of the grid who hasn't pit yet. Albon leading Albon leading Russell, Piastri P5, who has pit on the previous lap. Ocon, Norris, Sonoda, Calimere, P9. Albon and Russell coming in there, Alonso coming in there. You can see the red markers on their names. So we see Sonoda ahead of us coming in, as we got keyed into our tires, and we're looking to see. There we are with Alonso on board coming out of the pits. We're going to be leading against Hamilton, so we're going to see that battle coming in pretty soon, more than likely, as both us and Hamilton overshot or undercut Alonso. He's going to be losing one position at least. You see the back end try to step out a little bit on these medium tires. It's still a little slick out here with these medium tires, but we are managing perfectly fine. Lap 27 now, we're still ahead of Hamilton. He's 0.4, half a second or so behind us, so we're still looking to defend, as we see Alonso making ground, coming back, as he is about 2.5 seconds behind us. See Hamilton trying to make a move on the inside. We outbrake him, which is the normal pretty much for us throughout the season. We outbrake our opponents on the corners because we have better traction and, well, not always traction, but better downforce with our setups, because they automatically have that launch. Like I was saying, see Hamilton making a move on the outside, a little bit of aggressive contact coming through that right-hander, fast-paced right-hander, which he could have left us a lot more room. So we hold on to that position for now, as we're lap 28 to 31. So a few more laps to go as we're coming through Sector 2. Sector 2 didn't really feel too bad for us this year than it has. I know that bridge section has been very rough, as we're going over to lap 29. Esteban Ocon in the Haas there in Sector 3 is going to be the next engine failure for us today, And it's going to be just those two drivers of Ocon and Verstappen. Ocon's retirement doesn't really affect the championship as much as Verstappen's does, because Ferrari is pushing their lead, I believe, in the constructor standings, as we're holding on against Hamilton. Alonso's right there in the fight as well for that final spot on the podium. Leclerc guaranteed the winner unless something happens. Little bit of a fight there between us and Hamilton coming through these few corners. Piastri sitting P2, 10.6 seconds behind Leclerc. We're going to be sitting 14 seconds behind Piastri, so that widespread podium just tells you how much you can get away with on this track. As we're moving on to the final lap, final few corners, we were able to defend against Hamilton. You drop back a little bit. That is going to be Alonso there in P5. Another podium finish for our team. Just unfortunately, Jackson wasn't able to get on the podium, but we did have another good race weekend for our team here with Konnersport.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory. He wins.
Wow, that's 3 wins in a row. They really are on a roll now and really building great momentum. They're clearly one to look out for.
There's room for 3 on their podium, but only ever 1 right at the top. Let the celebrations begin. And who gets to take the top step of the podium? Yes, it is I, Leclerc. Charles Leclerc on top. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
All right, there we have it. The result of a very exciting, well, the second half of the season has been exciting, honestly. We took the risk of changing Callie Mayer's and Aiden Jackson's components. We actually changed out the components for the, I think it was the electrical system. We had it earlier in the episode during the owner tasks, and we took the risk. It paid off for Callie Mayer. I guess we could have alternated the parts to keep Aiden Jackson in the fight because they both qualified in the top 10. And then we worked our way through the grid. That red flag really helped us out. Didn't help Aiden Jackson that much because he was farther back in the grid when the incident happened. I believe it was incident between Verstappen, Russell, and the Haas of Oliver Behrman. We're going to go to the race director here. Just track limits for us earlier in the race. Verstappen, Oliver Behrman, and George Russell. And then Verstappen, of course, had a retirement, and then Esteban Ocon within the last 3 laps had a retirement as well, which couldn't stop the race for that because we were so far into the race. But we had a very fun race. We had a challenge after the red flag. Very, very interesting start as we try to work our way through the grid, and then we were being hunted down by Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. But that was our race weekend here in Singapore. A decent amount of points for our team. Actually, no, we hit the wrong button. You guys will see that. We'll have to record that after this. But driver standings, Callie Mayer tries to close the gap on Aiden Jackson, as we also try to close the gap on George Russell. That didn't really change much, but we are 8 points ahead of Mercedes now. Red Bull sitting at 358, and then McLaren and Ferrari are sitting 64 points apart from each other. So there's still a constructors battle going on between McLaren and Ferrari, and Ferrari's really looking good with that 3-win streak with Charles Leclerc. He's moving up. Now he's battling Lando Norris for that 3rd spot in the driver standings, and in turn Lewis Hamilton as well. Lewis Hamilton has not been fighting as well. as he has been with his teammate winning races. And we're going to go ahead and call it here for this end of this video, because I know we've been covering a lot of this stuff a lot. There's just a lot of stuff going on in this part of the season and at the end of this race. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.